And joining us now is Democratic Congressman Brendan Boyle of Pennsylvania. He's the ranking member of the Budget Committee. Congressman, great to have you here. Give us your initial reaction to this ruling.
Well, I certainly cheer this decision by the Supreme Court. It was correct on the merits. The idea that we have 92 different emergencies simultaneously is, of course, just not believable and not practical. Donald Trump himself was his own witness because by his own testimony, not in front of court, but out loud, he said the whole reason why he raised tariffs on Switzerland was because he didn't like the tone of the Swiss leader he was talking to on the phone. So I'm not surprised by the decision. I would say, though, there's still a question in my mind in terms of what comes next. I would have liked to have seen more clarity from the court in terms of the refunds and what that process is going to look like. So overall, it's good news, but there's still questions ahead.
You have called these tariffs a national sales tax, and we just saw a report this week that 90% of the tariffs really have been paid for by American businesses and consumers. What are you hearing from businesses in your state about how these tariffs have impacted them? Yeah, just explain that up front. This is de facto a national sales tax on any good that you get from abroad. The same way a state may charge you 6% or 7% in a sales tax, the tariff is a tax by a different word. So the American consumer was paying that almost entirely. Now, finally, they will have relief, which is good news because just this morning, before the Supreme Court decision, we got an inflation report that again shows inflation is high. It is much higher than it should be. And there is no sign whatsoever that it's going to come down anytime soon. So hopefully, despite the president's best efforts, we will be delivering relief to the American people. And the trade deficit has not shrunk at all. In fact, since these tariffs have been invoked and implemented, we've seen the trade deficit on goods grow in the past year to record highs. The president, we're still waiting on an official reaction to this ruling, but in the past he has said that this would be devastating to the country. It would have devastating consequences if the Supreme Court ruled against his tariffs. Are you concerned about any kind of consequences when it comes to U.S. foreign policy? Well, what does concern, I mean, first, Donald Trump always speaks in the superlatives. It's always the best ever, the most beautiful, or it's the worst ever. So it's not a surprise that that's the kind of rhetoric he would use on this. What has hurt U.S. foreign policy is the unpredictability of these tariffs and the fact they're so punitive toward our allies. This, combined with the bellicose rhetoric regarding Greenland as well as Canada, has done real damage to the U.S. transatlantic alliance with our traditional European allies. We have seen now NATO countries issue statements that they would declare Article 5, invoke it against us if we were to move against Greenland. So the tariffs, combined with other things the president is saying in foreign policy, have really led to the biggest crisis in U.S. foreign policy with respect to our allies in Europe, probably since the Suez Crisis in the 1950s. Some of your Republican colleagues, at least on the Senate, are reacting pretty quickly to this decision. And I had read a couple before. I'm not sure if you heard, so let me just repeat them to you. Senator Bernie Moreno calling the SCOTUS's outrageous ruling handcuffs in our fight against unfair trade. He says, Senator Bill Cassidy saying there must be tools to level the playing field, striking down President Trump's ability to use IEEPA tariffs demands an alternative. The Supreme Court, in effect, here said that is Congress's power to invoke tariffs or taxes. What's your reaction to this being the response from lawmakers? It is quite clear in the Constitution explicitly that it is Article 1, the legislative branch, the Congress, that has the power to tax, has the power to tariff. So it's a little disappointing that there are congressional colleagues of mine who so willingly want to give away our power to the executive branch. But we've seen that all along throughout this Trump presidency, that there are a number of Republican colleagues of mine who are Republicans first and members of Congress second. This is now an opportunity for Congress to reassert itself as a co-equal branch of government. Do you expect Republicans to now try to put higher tariffs on these countries that the president has targeted because he wants it, and the Supreme Court has said that's for Congress to take up? Yeah, it's interesting. You've actually seen a split within Congress. You've had a number of my congressional colleagues who quietly disagree with the tariffs, but don't want to stick their head out too much because they're afraid about a mean tweet
from Donald Trump. Now this will be going forward. I think more of that split will be on display between the sort of traditional Chamber of Commerce Republicans who up until Donald Trump didn't agree with tariffs or taxes at all, and those who are more the MAGA brand who frankly go along with whatever Donald Trump decrees.
Do you expect this to complicate the State of the Union message we're going to hear next week?
Well, when Trump goes off script, it is always the most interesting moments in that chamber. What I will be fascinated about is what his interactions will be with the Supreme Court justices who will be there present in the front row, only about 7 or 8 feet away from him when he's delivering the speech.
Congressman Brendan Boyle, thank you very much for joining us today to react to this Supreme Court decision.